Hi everyone, welcome to the I Can Crochet That YouTube channel. Today we are going to learn how to make the frosted star stitch blanket. This is a Tunisian crochet blanket and it's worked up using the Entrelac technique. So we start with one square and then we attach these squares diagonally. And then when we've built the blanket the width that we want, then we start building it up and then we close in the squares until we're completely done. So if that sounds confusing, don't worry, I'm going to walk you through step by step. So let's get started. So for this blanket, I used Big Twist Value Pound yarn in ivory, and then the blue is Karen Blossom Cakes in Caribbean Sea. I am out of Caribbean Sea, obviously, this is green. This one is Tide Pool. So each square has 12 star stitches and they're staggered. As you can see in the star stitch, this is the tiny star stitch and it's super easy to do. All you need to know to make this blanket is how to do the Tunisian simple stitch. Very simple, and I'm excited to show you how this all comes together. After we finish the squares of the blanket, it is finished off in regular crochet, one round of single crochet using the Karen Blossom Cakes, and then the rest of the rounds are in the not Tunisian crochet, but regular crochet, the camel stitch. So it gives it a really cool finish. I really like how it turned out. In addition, you're going to need a 5mm regular crochet hook. That's for the border, and then a 6.5 Tunisian crochet hook. I'm using a long one. As you can see, this is from Furls, and you do not need a cable to do these squares because they are so small. So you can just use a long Tunisian crochet hook like this one. Square one, we are using the Karen Blossom Cakes. And you take your long Tunisian crochet hook and you're going to chain 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So that is your Tunisian crochet chain. So now we're going to do the foundation row. And for Tunisian crochet, to do the foundation row, instead of inserting our hook into the chain like we do with regular crochet quite a bit, you're going to turn it over. And let me grab my little needle here. When you turn the chain over, there's these little bumps in the back of the chain. That's what you're going to insert your hook under, is those bumps. And so it does kind of help to chain a little bit loosely than maybe you're used to, so that these back bumps are a little bit easier to get your hook under. So again, we have chain 20 for square one. And now doing the foundation row, turn it over, find that second back bump from your hook. So this is the first one, find that second one, insert your hook under that back bump, yarn over, pull up a loop. And in Tunisian crochet, these loops are going to stay on your hook, and they're going to cast them off for the return pass. So find that next back bump, insert your hook underneath that, yarn over, bring up a loop. And you're just doing that all the way across. And at the end, since we chained 20, at the end you should have 20 loops on your hook. Now, since this blanket is made with the Tunisian simple stitch, it does unfortunately curl, but I have noticed with this Karen Blossom Cakes yarn, it's a little bit, the construction is a little bit different, not your basic worsted weight yarn. It's made with 61% cotton and 39% acrylic, and I've noticed that that helps it not curl quite as bad as a yarn that's, let's say, 100% acrylic. So you're coming up to that last back bump, yarn over, pull up a loop, and like I said, you should have 20 loops on your hook. So although this does curl, like I said, not as bad because of this yarn that we're starting with, and then also the border completely helps alleviate that curl. Okay, so that is the foundation row. Now we're doing what's called, so that was the forward pass. Now we're doing what's called the return pass. The return pass in Tunisian crochet, you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 1, 2 loops on your hook. And this is the cast off, the return pass. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook all the way across until you have 1 loop left on your hook. So we have 2 loops left on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and you have 1 loop left on your hook. That is the Tunisian crochet foundation row. Okay, so row 1 of this pattern is just what's called Tunisian simple stitch. And like I said, the whole pattern is made with simple stitch, except for the tiny star stitches, which is, as I'll show you, is Tunisian simple stitch, but using a little bit different technique. So in Tunisian crochet, this first vertical bar right here above the loop that's on your hook, we do not go into that. We go into the second vertical bar. And in Tunisian crochet, it is made up of a front vertical bar, then if you turn it over, there's that back vertical bar. So for the simple stitch, you're going to insert your hook from right to left underneath just that front vertical bar and bring up a loop. And we're going to do that in every vertical bar across until we get to what's called the last Tunisian stitch here on the side. And I'll show you how to do that. It always helps to tighten this a little bit. It helps keep your edges nice and clean. This blanket doesn't matter so much because we are attaching the squares to this square. So, okay, give a little bit of a tighten. Again, skip that first vertical bar, look for the second vertical bar, insert your hook underneath that front vertical bar from right to left, yarn over, pull up a loop, leaving that loop on your hook, 2 loops on your hook. Find that next vertical bar, go from right to left, yarn over, and pull up a loop. Again, insert your hook underneath that front vertical bar from right to left, yarn over, and pull up a loop. And that is your Tunisian simple stitch. And we're just going to do that all the way across. If you need to watch that a little bit slower, I do have a beginner Tunisian crochet video that has some of the basics of Tunisian crochet. You can go check that out. It's got the foundation chain, it's got the simple stitch, the knit stitch, and a few other stitches. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to go a little bit faster so that it isn't 3 hours long. Okay, so now we're coming to that last stitch, which is our edge stitch. And for Tunisian crochet, this edge stitch, we're going to go under 2 of the loops. So turn it towards you. Here is a front vertical bar and a back vertical bar. You're going to insert your hook underneath both of those, both the front and the back, and that gives it a nice clean edge and makes it nice and easy for us to attach, to do like a border on it. But it's very important that you go under both of those, and it's easiest just to turn it towards you to be able to see those loops. So like this, turn it towards you, insert your hook. Sometimes it helps to take your nail under that front and back loop. See, got 2 of them on there. Yarn over and pull up a loop. And that is your forward pass. Okay, now we're going to do the return pass again, which is chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to do that all the way across. that is row 1. So our next row is exactly the same as what we just did. It is a Tunisian simple stitch row. So again, skipping that first vertical bar, find the second one, insert your hook under that front vertical bar from right to left, yarn over, pull up a loop. And you're going to do that all the way across for this row 2. And coming to the edge stitch, turn it towards you, find that front and back bar and insert your hook underneath both of those. Yarn over. Oops, I did not actually get that. The front and the back vertical bar, yarn over, pull up a loop. And now the return pass. Chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way across. And as you can see, as I mentioned, it is starting to curl, which I know is annoying, but like I said, this yarn does not curl near as bad as 100% acrylic yarn. So it'll kind of flatten out as you go. And then, like I said, the border will help with that. Okay, now we're ready for our first row of tiny star stitches. It's very easy once you get the hang of it. So for this first row of tiny star stitches, we're going to start the row with 3 simple stitches. So again, skipping that first vertical bar, going into the next 3, doing a simple stitch, then a simple stitch, and then a third simple stitch. And now we're ready to do our tiny star stitches. And the reason this is called tiny star stitches is that the regular star stitch is actually, we're going to Tunisian simple stitch 5 together is how you would make this one, but these are a little bit smaller. I just like the way that they looked with this blanket. Okay, to do the tiny star stitch, you're going to insert your hook underneath the next 3 vertical bars all at the same time. So what I mean by that is insert your hook under that vertical bar, then the next one, and then the third one. And then you're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, pulling through all 3 vertical bars. You're going to want to pull that one up just a little bit because then we need to yarn over and insert your hook underneath those 3 vertical bars again. So yarn over and go back under those 3 vertical bars one more time. Yarn over, pull up a loop. And that's all there is to the tiny star stitch. Okay, the next one is 3 simple stitches. 1, 2, 3, and then the tiny star stitch. Again, insert your hook from right to left as for simple stitch under the next 3 vertical bars, yarn over, pull up a loop. You want to pull it up a little bit, yarn over, insert your hook again underneath those 3 vertical bars. 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over and pull up a loop. And then 3 simple stitches, 1, 2, and 3. And then end with a tiny star. Inserting a hook under the 3 vertical bars, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first, go through those 3 again, yarn over, pull up a loop. And then you're left with your edge stitch. Again, turn it towards you and insert your hook under that front and back vertical bar, yarn over, pull up a loop. And now the return pass, exactly like the other return passes, chain 1, and then yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2, just a regular return pass. Now you notice because of the yarn over and because we're going under 3 vertical bars, these 3 loops are a little bit tight together. So just make sure that you're not skipping any of those and you're doing yarn over, pulling through 2 all the way across. And that is the first row of tiny star stitches. The next 2 rows are just a simple stitch row. So you're just bringing up a loop in every vertical bar across. And so when you get to the star stitches, you'll see that there's 2 of the stitches that are slanted, and there's that one in the middle. You're going to want to pull up a loop in all of those to make sure that you have 20 loops on your hook. So don't forget to miss all 3 of those. So just simple stitch all the way across. Now we're at that edge stitch and return pass. All right, now you can see the star stitches a little bit better. Okay, one more row of regular simple stitch all the way across. And then we'll be ready for our second row of star stitches. And a return pass. Show you what it's looking like. So there are 2 rows of Tunisian simple stitch in between each of the rows of the star stitch. So now we're ready for the next row of star stitches. Because we want the star stitches a little bit staggered for this next row, we're only going to begin with 1 simple stitch. So do 1 simple stitch, and then we're ready to do our next star stitch. Again, going under all 3 of the next vertical bars, yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarning over, and going underneath all 3 of those again, yarning over and pulling up a loop. And then 3 simple stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then another star stitch. 1, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through all 3, yarn over again, insert your hook under all 3 again, yarn over, pull up a loop. And then 1, 2, 3, and then again, star stitch. And then you're left with 2 vertical bars and the edge stitch. So 1, 2, and the edge stitch, and then a regular return pass. And there's our second row of star stitches. And as you can see, they're staggered a little bit. Okay, now 2 rows of simple stitch. I did 2 rows of simple stitch. Now we're ready for our third row of star stitches. Our row 3 of star stitches, or our third row of star stitches, is just like our first row. So we start with 3 simple stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then begin our star stitch. 1, 2, 3, and then 3 simple stitches, and then a star stitch. 1, 2, 3, ending with a star stitch. And then a regular return pass. And now let's do 2 rows of simple stitch. Now we're ready for our last row of star stitches. So this is our 4th row of star stitches. The 4th row is the same as the 2nd row of star stitches, which means we start with 1 simple stitch and then go into our star stitches. And then 1, 2, 3 simple stitches and then star stitch. 1, 2, 3, and then star stitch. And then we're left with 2 vertical bars and our last Tunisian stitch. So simple stitch those, and then your last Tunisian simple stitch, and then return pass. Now we're going to do not 2, but 1 more row of Tunisian simple stitch. Before we do, it's called the bind off row, which is very simple, just learning how to do a slip stitch. So the bind off row is, like I said, learning how to do the Tunisian slip stitch. And instead of leaving loops on our hook, we're going to always just have 1 loop on our hook. In the bind off row, see you've got all these gaps in here. So we don't want that. We want it to match down here at the bottom. So closing off those gaps. Okay, so to do the bind off row, the Tunisian slip stitch, so you insert your hook just like you do for the simple stitch underneath that vertical bar, yarn over and bring up a loop. The only thing that's different, instead of leaving that loop on your hook, you're going to pull it through the loop on your hook. And again, leaving 1 loop on your hook. Go under the next one as for simple stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull through the loop on your hook. Now you're going to want to do the bind off row pretty much always in Tunisian crochet loosely. And the reason you want to do this loosely and how you do it loosely is you kind of want to pull up a little bit on that one and just loosen your tension and your grip on the hook a little bit. And like I said, the reason that we want to do it loosely is because we're going to be working a square off of this square. And in order to do that, we need to be able to get our hook underneath these loops to attach that square up there. If these are really, really tight, you will have a heck of a time getting your hook under there and it'll be really frustrating. So do that loosely. So again, inserting as for simple stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull through the loop on your hook. And you should have 20 of those. Okay, so we've got that one vertical bar left, and then our edge stitch, and you work it just like you have been for the rest of the rows, inserting your hook underneath both of those vertical bars, yarning over, pulling up a loop, and then pull through that loop on your hook. And then you should have 20 chains. Okay, so now we are going to fasten off because we are done with this color for our square one. So this is square one, aka row one. So I have a diagram on the pattern that kind of gives you how this blanket is built. And like I said, it's built diagonally, and so we're calling this square one, row one, and then we'll have square two, which is row two, which is what we're going to do next. Okay, in order to attach our next square, we're going to change colors. We fastened off the blossom cakes, and now we're going to add the solid color yarn. And you're going to want to attach it to the bottom of square one. So this is our foundation row, our chain, and you may see in some video, if you've watched other videos for Entrelac, some of them insert their hook into that first kind of side vertical bar here. But what I like to do instead is insert it into the bottom of this chain. And so there's a little loop here and then that back loop there. And so I like to attach my yarn right there at the bottom. It just gives the edge of it a little bit of a cleaner edge. So what I do is I insert my hook underneath that bottom chain, making sure that there's 2 loops right there, and then taking my new color and attaching it. You can attach it and make a knot if you want it a little bit more secure. I try to have as few knots in my projects as possible, so I do not knot it. I just kind of leave it hanging there like this. Okay, so if you remember, for this first square, we chained 20. Now for the rest of the squares, we are not going to chain 20, we're going to chain 19. And the reason why is because our 20th stitch is attaching it to this square. So we're going to have 20 loops on our hook, but we only need 19 chains because this counts as number 20. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, with this new color, chain 19. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. And just like we did for the first square, we're going to do the foundation row, which is turning your chain over and looking for those back bumps, bringing a loop up in that second back bump from the hook. And you're going to want to do this 19 times. So that's 2. So you've got 19 loops on your hook. So you've got 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One trick I do to make sure that the chain is turned over is I take my first square and just kind of turn it over like that. And it helps keep the back of the chain visible. And now I forgot what number I was on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just keeps your chain from being twisted. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That last back bump could be a little tricky to find, but it's right there. 19. Okay, 19 loops on our hook. And like I said, our 20th one is going to be attaching it to this first square. And so when attaching it to the square, you're going to want to attach it to the corresponding row. So there are 3 ways you can do this. So there's that front loop, there's that back loop, and then when you turn it, there's this little like this bonus loop back here. So you can either insert your hook when joining this square to this square. You can insert your hook under the front loop and the back loop. You can do it under the front loop, back loop, and that back little bonus loop. That's the second way. Or the way I like to do it is I like to leave this loop visible. I just think it gives it a cleaner look. And so I insert my hook, I leave that front loop alone, I insert it in the back, and then to give it some more stability into that third little bonus loop there. So insert your hook in the back loop and find that third bonus loop. Okay, so again, we have 19 loops on our hook. Find that first corresponding row, which is the foundation row. Leave that front loop alone. Find that back loop and that third little bonus loop back there. Insert your hook under both of those. Yarn over, pull up a loop. And that's how you attach it. So the return pass, when we're attaching a square to another square, the return pass is a little bit different. You will not chain one. Instead, you will yarn over and pull through two the entire way. So no chaining one. That's the only difference. There's our foundation row. And as you can see, it matches up quite nicely with our other square. So now we're going to do another row, or now we're going to do a row, actually 2 rows of Tunisian simple stitch. So this square, exactly like this square, the same placement of the star stitches, the same counts and everything. So 2 rows of simple stitch. The only difference is at the very end, is that we're attaching it to the square next to it. Sorry that my hook keeps hitting my table. So when you get to the last vertical bar of this ivory colored, cream colored yarn, you should have 19 loops on your hook. And then the 20th one, again, is attaching it to that square. Leave that first vertical bar alone if you'd like. Find that second one and that bonus loop. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and you'll have 20 loops on your hook. And again, the return pass, no chaining one, just yarning over, pulling through 2. And try not to drop a stitch. Okay, now we're going to do another row of Tunisian simple stitch. And then the next row will be our first row of tiny star stitches. Coming to that last vertical bar. So, don't forget that last vertical bar. So if you're just starting out, definitely count the loops on your hook to make sure that you've got 19 on your hook before you go and attach it to that first square. So attaching it, back vertical bar and third little bonus bar, yarn over and return pass, yarn over, pull through 2. All right, now we're ready for our first row of star stitches. So again, for this first row, we start off with 3 simple stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and then our star stitch, inserting your hook under the next 3 vertical bars, yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarning over, going through all 3 again and pulling up a loop. And then 1, 2, 3 simple stitches, star stitch, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and then 3 simple, and then 1, 2, 3. And as you see on this last star stitch, it's the last row of this, of the cream colored. And then our last stitch is joining into that square. So you'll only have 3 stitches left of this ivory. That's okay, you didn't do anything wrong. That's how it's set up. So do your star stitch, those last 3 vertical bars, and then the last stitch is attaching it to square 1. Yarn over, pull up a loop. And then again, we're not chaining 1 for the return pass, you're yarning over, pulling through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. And there's our first row of star stitches. And see, it's matching up really nicely, lining up really nicely there. So 2 rows of simple stitch. And it is curling, like I mentioned in the beginning, it does curl. I do have another entrelac pattern. It is the no curl entrelac pattern. It's using a no curl stitch. You can find that. I will link it below if you'd prefer to do this with a no curl stitch, if this is just driving you nuts. I don't know if you ever get used to the curling, but you find ways to help it not bug you so much. And I don't know, maybe you do get used to it. But I still prefer the no curl stitches, but this stitch was just too pretty not to do it. So I also have a no curl bundle, which is 5 patterns that teach you, each pattern teaches you a different technique to help with the curling in Tunisian crochet. One way is to start your project with a no curl stitch. Another way is to start it with a regular crochet stitch. And then I share 3 other ways to help combat the curling. So I will also link that below as well. But yeah, 5 techniques, 5 patterns, lots of detailed videos. Also got videos on blocking, wet blocking and dry blocking, and or steam blocking, which helps with curling as well. Okay, so I just did 2 rows of simple stitch, and now we're ready for our second row of star stitches, which is just like this first block, second row of star stitches. We start with just 1 simple stitch. So do 1 simple stitch and then do your star stitch. And then 1, 2, 3 simple stitches, and then your star stitch. 1, 2, and 3, and then star stitch. And so for this row of star stitches, at the end, you'll have 2 rows left of your cream colored yarn and then your attached row. So 1, 2 simple stitches, and then attach it to the square and return pass. So the stitches, well, before I go into this next thing, I want to say, second row of star stitches. Now we're going to do 2 rows of simple stitches. So the stitches in Tunisian crochet that curl the most are the simple stitch, what we're doing now. The knit stitch curls big time, but it's so beautiful. I love it. I have a pattern where I mix the knit stitch with a no curl stitch, and that kind of helps a little bit. But yeah, the simple stitch, the knit stitch, those curl really bad. Some stitches that don't are the reverse stitch. I like to start projects with the reverse stitch and then also sprinkle the reverse stitch throughout the project. That helps with curling. And then the smock stitch doesn't curl very badly. The Tunisian crochet or Tunisian half double crochet doesn't curl at all, which is what my other entrelac blanket pattern is made with. And then the honeycomb stitch doesn't curl either. So you can find them out there, the ones that don't curl, and the different techniques to help out. All right, almost done with this second row of simple stitch. Now I'm ready for another row of star stitches. So I'm going to do the rest of this block off camera because, like I said, this square is exactly like this square as far as staggering these stitches. The only difference is that last one is the joining one, and then your return pass is different. But now we're going to do row 3 of star stitches, which is just like row 1, and then we'll have another row of star stitches, and then I will show you how to attach the bind off row to this bind off row, and then how to start our next square. So I've got all my star stitch rows ending with a row of simple stitch, and now ready to do the bind off row so I can show you how to attach it to square 1. Again, the bind off row is the slip stitch, inserting your hook as for simple stitch, bringing up a loop and pulling through the loop on your hook. And again, loosely. If there's some things you feel like I say over and over again, it's because I am, because they're important. I don't want you to do this part, do the stitches all tight, and then be really frustrated. Because I've been there and had to pull out a row, and that's never fun. Okay, our last bind off stitch with the cream colored. And now we need to attach it to square 1. So here is the first stitch of square 1's bind off row. So you're going to insert your hook underneath both of those loops to do the bind off row, to finish that bind off row. So insert your hook under both of those and do your slip stitch. And now we are ready to build the square above the row 1, square 1. So we're going to continue. Like I said, this is built diagonally. So now let's build the square on top of here. So in order to do that, we're going to bring up a loop underneath every stitch of our bind off row of that square, which is why we did it loosely. And then when we get to the end here, our fasten off. So when we get here to do that last stitch of the bind off row, you should have 19 loops on your hook. To get that 20th loop on our hook, we're attaching it to the edge stitch of that last row. So just like we do on all the other rows, we're going to do the same thing, attaching the square. Find that edge stitch and go under that front and back vertical bar. And then you should have 20 loops on your hook. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That 19th one is underneath that last bind off. And then I just take this extra and put it behind there before I go into that edge stitch for the 20th loop on our hook. So turn it towards you, find that the last row edge stitch and attach it to that. And now you have your 20 loops. So as you know, for this return pass, we did not chain 1. For this return pass, we will chain 1 because we're not attaching it to a next square. So chain 1 and then yarn over, pull through 2 for the regular return pass. And that is our foundation row of attaching it to square 1. So now we're just going to build our square exactly like we did this one and this one, except we're not attaching it to, so exactly like this one. So we're going to do 2 rows of simple stitch, then a row of star stitch, 2 rows of simple stitch, a row of star stitch, exactly, follow the pattern exactly as this one. And then I'll meet you back here after we're done with this next square. We'll do the bind off row together, and then we will talk about adding our next square and then what happens after that. So I finished that second square here, and I'm doing the bind off row, and then we'll be ready to fasten off this cream colored yarn and start on our third row, our third square, with the Karen Blossom Cakes. Hope that you're getting the hang of it now that we've done 3 squares together. So now just fasten that off, pull that through. And there's the first part. So now what we're going to do next is attach with the Karen Blossom Cakes, attach it here just like we did here, and we're going to build out that first square, and then we need to learn how to build in this middle square here. So this is a square type that we have not done yet, so I will show you how to do that, and then we'll come up top here and build the square above that one. So this one you're just kind of filling in this gap here. So again, to attach your yarn to the new square, I like to look for that chain that we started with, and go into the bottom of it to find those 2 loops right there. So find 2 loops. And attach that yarn, that new yarn to it. And then we're going to chain 19. Just like we did on this other square. So we'll do this part one more time together so that you can get the hang of it, and then I'll build the rest of the square off camera. So chain 19, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And again, I like to take this and turn it over so that it turns that chain over for me, and do the foundation row. Pick up a loop in that second back bump, from your hook. And you're going to do this 19 times, have 19, or you'll have 19 loops on your hook, and then I will attach it to the square next to it, which will give us that 20th loop on our hook. Okay, here's our last back bump of that row. And now we're going to attach it to square 2. So find that corresponding row, that back bar, and that bonus bar. Yarn over, pull up a loop. And then the return pass again. When you're attaching a square to another square, the return pass, you do not chain 1. You yarn over and pull through 2. All the way across. See, it gives it a nice clean join down there. Let's do a couple more rows together just so we can make sure that we're getting that join correctly. So now we just do 2 rows of simple stitch. One thing you may notice about this yarn, the Blossom Cakes, is that it is a little slippery. All right, now we need to join it. Might be a little bit easier to see with this cream colored yarn as far as the joining. So again, not that first vertical bar, but that back one, and then turn it over, and there's that little bonus loop. So yeah, it's a little bit easier to see. This cream colored one, that little bonus loop all the way up. But if you don't like attaching it that way, try one of the other 2 ways. And then return pass, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so let's finish attaching this square. You're going to do it just like you did this square, and then I'll meet you back here to show you how to do this middle square. So I finished that 3rd square here, this row 3, and just did the bind off row, and now I'm going to attach it to this next square right to it, to that first stitch of that bind off row from the corresponding square. And now I'm ready to show you how to do this middle square, is what we're going to call it. So we're going to do the same thing along here that we did along this one. We're going to bring up a loop in every stitch, the bind off row from the row below, bring up a loop in every single one of those all the way across, and then until we get to this corner. And we'll want to count our loops. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Now we're coming to this last one of the bind off row of the square below. So your 19th loop on your hook should be, it's kind of hard because it's in the corner here, but that 19th loop on your hook, you should insert your hook underneath that last. This is the last stitch of the bind off row from the row below. So yeah, same thing, insert your hook underneath both of those loops. So now we're at this little corner stitch here. Let me lift this up a little bit. So this is like the little corner stitch. So it's attached to this one, it's attached to this one. And so this is going to be the 19th loop on our hook. And you're going to want to do the same thing. So this is kind of slanted a little bit, but that is that front vertical bar, just like this front vertical bar, but it's slanted just a little bit. So you're going to, again, leave that alone and then find that back vertical bar and then that little bonus third loop. So although it looks a little bit different because it's slanted a little bit, is the same concept to attach it to that next square. So again, leave that front vertical bar alone, find the back and that third and attach it. And that should give you 20 loops on your hook. And then again, when we're attaching a square to another square, the return pass, we do not chain one. We're only chaining one on the edges. So you're gonna yarn over, pull through 2. And that is how we attach that middle square. And I'm really liking the color changes of this Karen Blossom Cakes colorway. Really pretty, just those blues and greens. Really pretty. Okay, so that's our foundation row. Now we're ready to do the exact same pattern as we did for all the other squares. Let me do one row with you, and then I'll work the rest off camera. So this is just a regular Tunisian simple stitch row. So yeah, the only difference between this middle square and the other ones is that we're attaching it to 2 blocks instead of just on the one side. You just got to watch those little inside corner stitch over here and make sure that you're picking up the loop in the right stitch. Okay, so we're coming to that last vertical bar of that foundation row. You should have 19 loops on your hook. And now we're going to attach it to the corresponding row to the square next to it. Again, leaving that front vertical bar alone, turning it over and finding that back vertical bar and that bonus third loop. And then return pass, yarn over, pull through 2. See, it's really coming together. I love how easy and nice this lines up. You know, we haven't done a star stitch together in a while, so let's do this other row of simple stitch, and then let's do a star stitch row together. So Michael's had a buy 2 yarns, get 1 free sale the other day. So I bought, I believe, one more colorway of this Blossom Cakes, but then a bunch of other Karen self-striping yarns that I'm going to experiment. So that's kind of what I'm spending 2026 doing, is experimenting with all the self-striping and variegated yarns I can get my hands on. So that should be a fun way to spend the year. All right, our first row of star stitch is to Tunisian simple stitch the first 3 stitches and then a star stitch. So 1, 2, 3, and then our star stitch. Tunisian simple stitch 3 together, yarn over, go under again, and then 1, 2, 3 simple stitches, star stitch, 3 simple stitches, and ending on another star stitch. And then that last stitch is attaching it to the corresponding square. And then our return pass. And there we go. Looking pretty cool. Okay, I'm going to finish the rest of this square off camera and then also this top square. And then I will explain how we're going to do the rest of the construction from here on out. So I finished that next square, and I said I was going to build another square up here, but actually I've decided to stop at this square. So let me explain the construction of this blanket a little bit better. So you will continue to build out squares on the bottom, attaching and chaining 19 until the blanket is the width that you want. Whenever it's the width that you want, then you just start building up this way and not out anymore. So I'll show you how to attach that square and how to do that. And then when the blanket is the height that you want, then you stop building on top of these side squares. So we're going to pretend that this blanket is the width that I want and the height that I want. And so I'm going to not build any more squares above it. I'm going to stop right here. And so to do that, then you just this is the bind off row. You do it the same way, go under that bind off stitch of that corresponding square, do your bind off, and then just fasten off and end there. And that's when you're done with the height of your blanket. That's how you end there, and then we won't be adding any more blocks on top of these 2 blocks. So now we're not going to add any more to the side of here. So now we need to, so this is basically the last square of our blanket. And so we just need to attach it to the top and then to the top here, and then we're done. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so we learned how to do square 1, fastening it off, and then we learned how to do square 2s, building it up and sideways, and then we learned how to do square 3. And now this is the last square. So we're going to pretend like this is the last square of the blanket. And all we need to do, so now we're done with the Karen Blossom cakes. So now we need to fill in that last square with our cream colored yarn. So to do that, instead of attaching it, to the chain like we did here, we're going to attach it to the first stitch of the bind off row of that square below. So this is the first stitch of that bind off row. So that's where we're going to attach our yarn. And like I said, you can tie a little knot if you want to secure it a little bit more, or just leave it like that. And then we're just going to bring up a loop in every bind off row across, and then we've got this corner stitch here. So we'll have 19 loops on our hook up into this last stitch of the bind off row of the square below, and then we're going to attach it to that first row of the square beside it to get our 20th loop on our hook. So let's do that together. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and then this 19th one, this tiny stitch right here, that's the last stitch in the bind off row. Go under that for 19 loops on our hook, and now we need to attach it to the first row of this square. So again, that stitch is a little bit diagonal right there. So we're still going to leave that front vertical bar alone and find that back vertical bar and that third bonus loop and attach it to the next corresponding square. Now we do our return pass, not chaining one, but yarning over, pulling through two. So this is almost the same concept as that middle square that I showed you. It's just that we're attaching our yarn at a different spot. But filling it in is the same concept. So now we've got our width, we've got our height. Now we're just filling in that last square. So let's go ahead and finish that, and then I'll meet you back here for the bind off row, and then we'll move on to the border. All right, so I finished that last square, and now ready to do the bind off row, and then we will move on to the border. So the border, I'm going to do one round of just single crochet all the way around with the Karen Blossom Cakes yarn. I like how it gives that border just a little peep of color through there. And then we're going to do several rounds of a border that's called the camel stitch border. So to do the camel stitch border, you need to know how to do half double crochet and then half double crochet in the third loop. So pretty easy, but the border looks really cool. It's nice and stretchy, and I think you'll enjoy it. So okay, so now we're at that last stitch. To fasten this off, we just need to insert your hook into the first stitch of that square, adjacent square, slip stitch to that, and then fasten off, and we're done with the cream colored yarn for now. And we're officially done with our Tunisian crochet hook. So we can put that aside and get ready to do the border. So this is what it's looking like. And the border, let me show you up close of that on the finished blanket. So as I said, we do a single crochet border with the Blossom Cakes yarn to kind of give that a little peep of color. And then this is the camel stitch border. It's nice and stretchy, looks really cool, almost looks knit. That's the back side. So you're going to want to be sure to have the right side facing you when you're doing this border, because for this, there's a wrong side and a right side, and we want the border and the right side of the blanket facing the same way. So to do the border, you're going to switch to a 5mm crochet hook, and you can attach it to any corner that you want of the blanket, and you can go ahead and weave in all these ends before you do the border if you want, or you can do them afterwards. Just totally up to you. All right, so attach that yarn. We're going to chain one, and then in that same spot that you chained one, we're going to do 2 single crochets. So that, I attached it to the corner. That is considered the first or the last stitch of this bind off row right there. So I did 2 single crochets there. Now I'm going to turn it sideways. And like I said, you want to have the right side of the blanket facing you. So this is the first stitch of the edge. So we're going to want to do 2 single crochets in that one. So what I like to do, and this is just a personal preference, some crocheters do it differently. They do like a chain 2 in the corner, which we'll be doing on the camel stitch border. But for this one, I like to do 2 single crochets in the last stitch and 2 single crochets in the first stitch. So there's like 4 in the corner. So just a personal preference. And then you're just going to single crochet in every edge stitch all the way down. And one thing I love about Tunisian crochet is that doing the border is so easy, because finding those side stitches is easier than regular crochet. And as you can see, it is curling up, but as we do that camel stitch border and kind of let the blanket rest a little bit, those edges smooth out. You can block the blanket after you're done, and that will help with the curling. Definitely recommend wet blocking instead of steam blocking. Wet blocking has a little bit better result when it comes to the curling than just steam blocking. So we're just doing a single crochet in every edge stitch. All right, now we're at that last edge stitch. So we're going to do 2 single crochets and then turn it, find that first stitch of the bottom and do 2 single crochets in there. So we've got 4 in those corners, and then a single crochet in every stitch along the bottom. So see how that gives it just a really pretty rounded edge. Really like how that looks, and there's no gaps or anything. So all right, so let's do the rest of this off camera so that we can get on to the other part of the border. This part is super easy. Like I said, 2 single crochets in the last stitch, 2 single crochets in the first stitch, and then 1 single crochet all the way across until you get to the next corner. Same thing with that corner. And then I'll meet you back here when we get to our first single crochet that we're going to just slip stitch in, and then we'll be done with the Karen Blossom Cakes yarn. Did my single crochet border all the way around, got those nice rounded corners, and now we've come to the first stitch of the round. So we're just going to slip stitch to that first single crochet and then fasten off. And now we are completely done with the blossom cakes. So that's what the border looks like with that. And now we're ready to do our camel stitch border. So again, just attach it to any corner. I think I'll attach it to this corner. So for this, since we have 4 in the corner, just pick the one that looks most like the middle. So just kind of eyeballing it, and this one right here looks like the middle stitch. So I'm going to attach it to that corner and then chain 2. And then in that same corner that you attached it to, you're going to do a half double crochet. And now we're just going to do a half double crochet in every stitch along until we get to this corner. So this first round is just setting up for the camel stitch, just doing the half double crochet. And then the next round is where we'll start half double crocheting into that third loop of the half double crochet, which gives it that really cool knit-like texture. Okay, so just do half double crochet in every single crochet until we get to this corner, and then I'll meet you back there. Okay, we're coming up to one of the corner stitches, and again, just kind of eyeball it, whichever one looks most in the corner to you. We're going to go with that one right there. And in the corner stitch, you're going to do half double crochet, chain 2, and then in the same stitch, half double crochet. So that's what the corner will now look like. You got your chain 2 right there. So in the same stitch, half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet, and then just a single half double crochet into every stitch along the side until we get to that next corner. And then same thing in that next corner, find that corner stitch and do a half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet into the same stitch. Here we are at that next corner. So again, half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet in the same stitch. And then a single half double crochet into every stitch along the edge. So it's already, the border, the weight of the yarn is already kind of helping the curling stretch out a little bit and lay flat, and it'll just get better and better as we add more rows. So let's go ahead and finish this first round of half double crochet, doing the half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet in the corners, and then I'll meet you back here when we're at the corner that we started with and show you what to do there, and then we'll start the camel stitch for round 2. We've done our last half double crochet, and now we're at that first corner that we started. So now to join it to that first corner, you're going to chain 2 and then find that first half double crochet that you did and slip stitch it to that first half double crochet. And now for this corner, we're going to half double crochet into that chain 2 space that we just made. So you're going to chain 2 and then find that chain 2 space that you just made before you slip stitched it to that first half double crochet, and you're going to half double crochet into that chain 2 space like that. And then you're just going to do the half double crochet into that third loop after we do that corner. So let me show you. So turn your work over and you'll see there's a third little loop here for every half double crochet stitch, and that's where we're going to be going into. Instead, when you turn it here, you see these V's right here. Usually we would go underneath both of those loops of the V, but instead of going into those, you're going to turn it over and you're going to find that third loop, and that's where we're going to be inserting our hook. Okay, so we just did our chain 2 and then half double crochet into that chain 2 corner, and now find that next half double crochet, turn it over, find that third loop and half double crochet into that third loop into every stitch until we get to the corner, the chain 2 corner of the next one. I do have a blanket pattern that the entire blanket pattern is doing this half double crochet into the third loop, and it gives such a gorgeous texture. It's like a knit-like texture. It's my Miles blanket. As a knit-like texture, and it's quite heavy. Right now it's winter, and my husband and I use that blanket every night on the couch. It's quite nice and heavy. So you can go search for that pattern on our website. It is free if you want a nice heavy winter blanket. So as you can see, it's easy just to kind of, the curling kind of helps actually, because it keeps the project facing forward a little bit, which makes it easy to find that third loop. Let me show you. So see, doing it into that third loop, it pushes forward that front and back loop that we usually go into. Since we're not going into that, it pushes it forward and gives it this really cool texture. It's so amazing with crochet, just the different looks and textures you can get just by inserting your hook into a different part of the stitch. You've got the back loop only stitch, the front loop only stitch, and now for the half double crochet, I got that third loop only stitch. And yeah, it's really cool. Just one of the many reasons why I love crochet so much. Coming up on that corner. All right, we did our third loop in that last half double crochet. Now we're at the corner, and for this corner you're going to go into that chain 2 corner, insert your hook into that, do a half double crochet, chain 2, and then another half double crochet into that corner. And see, it helps it line up really nice. Kind of turn it a little bit. Now find that first half double crochet of that side. Yeah, it's kind of a little tricky to find this third loop for that very first half double crochet. All right, now just go in every third loop until you get to that next corner. And I will meet you back here. Now we're at that next corner, chain 2 corner, and again, do a half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet into that chain 2 corner, and then the third loop and all the way down until you get to the next corner. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this edge and this corner, and then we'll meet up back here when we come to this next corner so I can show you what to do for that next corner. Now we're at that first corner that we started with. We did the camel stitch all the way around, and now we're going to half double crochet into that chain 2 corner, then chain 2, and slip stitch to that first half double crochet of that round. And then chain 2 again. Find that chain 2 corner that you just made, that chain 2, and you're going to half double crochet into that chain 2 corner that you just made. So let me explain that one more time. Just want to make sure you got it. Okay, so we just did we half double crocheted. Okay, so this is our last half double crochet in the third loop, and this is our chain 2 corner from that first round. So you're going to half double crochet into that chain 2 corner, then you're going to chain 2, find that first half double crochet of this second round, slip stitch into that first half double crochet, and now this chain 2 corner that you just made, after you chain 2, find that chain 2 that you just made, half double crochet into that chain 2, and that sets us up for the next round. And then you just half double crochet into that third loop for another round of camel stitch. See, that just makes our seams line up real nicely there on the corners. And then this round is just like the other round. You're going to half double crochet in that third loop, then you're going to do a half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet in the chain 2 corner, and then when you get back here we will slip stitch it and fasten it off and be done. So I'm going to go ahead and do the entire rest of the border here, and then we can meet up back here when we're ready to finish off the border. All right, I did the rest of the round here, and now I'm at that first corner, and we're ready to finish it off, fasten off our yarn, and be done with this tutorial. So to finish it off, I did my half double crochet in the third loop only on that last stitch, half double crochet stitch. Now I'm going to do a half double crochet into that chain 2 space, chain 2, and then find that first half double crochet of the round, slip stitch into that, and you are done. Now you can fasten that off, pull that through, weave in all your ends if you didn't do that before, and enjoy your blanket. So there's what the camel stitch border looks like. And there's our corners. I hope that you enjoyed making this blanket as much as I enjoyed teaching you how to make it. And I can't wait to see your finished pieces. You can be sure to tag us on Instagram. I can crochet that so that we can see what you've done, or you can join our private Tunisian Crochet Facebook group and post your pictures in there. You can also ask questions about the pattern and chat with other Tunisian crochet enthusiasts and beginners. It's a really fun and supportive group. I'll leave a link down below to that. You can also join the pattern support group. It's a private crochet group just for I Can Crochet That Patterns. It's I Can Crochet That Patterns on Facebook. I'll also link to that. And if you're wanting to be notified when there's more tutorials available on our channel, be sure and subscribe and also hit that bell and you will be notified when we release new videos. Enjoy making the frosted star stitch blanket Tunisian Crochet Entrelac pattern, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Happy crocheting!